going on, guys? Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Total Fight Mike. I hope you guys enjoyed our last episode with our guest. It's kind of cool to get insight on somebody who's actually been there and done that. Our last time out, we were talking about UFC 258. The entire card from top to bottom was phenomenal. Some upsets. Anthony Hernandez upset Rodolfo Vieira via submission. Bilal Muhammad unfolded a great performance over Diego Lima. Poliana Viana unfolded great jiu-jitsu against Mallory Martin. Chris Gutierrez had great kickboxing against great leg kicks against Andre Ewell. Top to bottom, the undercards, the entire card was stacked. Julian Marquez pulled out with a very tough win over Maki Pitoli, who was very much in need of a win at UFC 258. Ricky Simon put on a great performance against Brian Kelleher. That guy is a future contender, 135 pounds for sure. Calvin Gastelum is back. Great job, great victory against Ian Heinisch. Really big, stocky 185 pounder. Calvin Gastelum on the 2-fight losing skid. Very much in need of a win there. He got it done against Ian Heinisch with the wrestling, not the kickboxing this time from Master Rafael Cordero at Kings MMA in California. The co-main event, Mexico's own Alexa Grasso got it done against Macy Barber. Now, Macy Barber was coming off of her first loss against a woman by the name of Roxanne Modafferi. Excuse me, guys. Alexa Grasso just kept it poised, and she was composed. She kept it very fundamental. Utilized great boxing, great distance control against Macy Barber. Macy Barber had actually changed camps from I believe Milwaukee, Wisconsin to Chicago. She was training with Valley Flow Striking, VFS, Valley Flow Striking. Guys like Yair Rodriguez have actually trained with that guy, but very good kickboxing teacher, striking teacher, MMA teacher. But unfortunately, Macy Barber was not able to get it done against Alexa Grasso, who was also moving up a weight class, 125 pounds. Macy Barber was a huge favorite, a fan favorite, I should say. She very much wanted to be the youngest champion in UFC history. She had the app on her phone with the countdown and everything, with 2 defeats in a row, and coming off of the back of some knee surgery, which she suffered a torn ACL, I believe, against Roxanne Modafferi. She does have some work to do, and she can be a potential future champion. But Alexa Grasso is just that much. It's just a little bit better than she is. Alexa Grasso is well on her way to a women's flyweight title fight. But no matter what, whoever gets there, it's not going to be easy, because Valentina Shevchenko is a hell of a champion, especially in that weight class. Who's actually fought girls 10 pounds that senior, who's used to taking blows from women like Amanda Nunes and Holly Holm. I mean, if you will, Valentina Shevchenko is the woman at 125 pounds in the women's flyweight division. The main event, Kamaru Usman was taking on former teammate Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns, coming from Sanford MMA, used to be Hard Knocks 365 with guys like Michael Chandler, used to be Luke Rockhold, Volkan Ozdemir. That camp actually used to be Black Zillions. Coached by Henry Hooft, a former K1 kickboxer, has actually fought guys like Peter Ertz. Kamaru Usman had actually traveled to Florida under the tutelage of Rashad Evans. They were both training partners. There's photographs of them celebrating together, victories together. Kamaru Usman had actually left Florida, had left Sanford MMA. I believe, I don't know what specifically the team is called, but under the tutelage of Trevor Whitman, training with guys like Justin Gaethje in Colorado, they put on a heck of a performance. First of all, Gilbert Burns came out like a bat out of hell, or bat out of heck, excuse me, and landed an overhand right that completely devastated Kamaru Usman just for a little bit. But Kamaru Usman was able to get his composure and regain his wits and get back to his feet and recover. So something that Gilbert Burns is very good at is his jiu-jitsu. He's known for his grappling. His takedowns, his leg kicks, and his power strikes, his power punches. Here's the thing. There was a point in time where Kamaru Usman had taken down Gilbert Burns, or there was a point in time where Gilbert Burns was on his back waiting for Kamaru Usman to kind of engage. You'll see very high level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys like Damian Maia do that. Charles Oliveira may do that. Tony Ferguson will want you to get in his guard, kind of bait you to get in his guard. At a championship level, it's not really going to happen like that. Kamaru Usman's much smarter than that. He's trained with Gilbert Burns. He knows where his strengths are, and so does Gilbert Burns. If that wasn't the case, he wouldn't have dropped Kamaru Usman in the opening seconds of the first round. But Kamaru Usman, in the second round, was able to utilize stance switching in order to utilize his jab in order to hurt Gilbert Burns. There was a point in time where Kamaru Usman was just comfortably switching stances because Gilbert Burns is he's usually a conventional fighter. Usually he's a right-handed fighter. He very rarely switches stances. But he does have this very fast, very decent front switch roundhouse kick. But it's very reminiscent of Edson Barboza with his front switch kick, roundhouse kick to the body. He did land it against Usman, but as soon as he landed those punches, it looked like he was just looking for that perfect shot against Usman. But Kamaru Usman actually was having none of that. And Kamaru Usman was able to, again, stand switching and power jabs. I believe it was a power right jab from southpaw position that was actually able to stun and hurt Gilbert Burns. And Gilbert Burns just had enough. He had actually been knocked down quite a few times in the third round, and I'm surprised that the referee had let it go on for as long as it did. But it is a championship fight. You would want to give the fighter, the athlete, the benefit of the doubt. But Grayson, sorry, my dog's here. But yeah, good on Kamaru Usman. He calls out he calls out Jorge Masvidal for a rematch. Here's the thing. With guys at welterweight, there are three guys that stand out at welterweight. There's Leon Edwards, Colby Covington, and Jorge Masvidal. Sorry about that, guys. But my dog's barking at somebody at the door. But getting back to Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns. Sorry about that. It was a very good victory for Kamaru Usman. The three guys that stand out the most at welterweight are Jorge Masvidal, Leon Edwards, and Colby Covington. The interesting thing about those three guys is that Kamaru Usman has beaten all those guys already, very handedly too. The thing about Leon Edwards is that it was very early. It was very early in the UFC career of both of those guys, and moving forward, Leon Edwards has put on an 8-fight winning streak and has improved leaps and bounds. So there is room for a lot of potential matchups for Kamaru Usman at 170 pounds. I don't think he's going to be moving up because Israel Adesanya and Kamaru Usman have such respect for each other, being champions from Nigeria that were born in Nigeria. So yeah, Kamaru Usman is your 170-pound. I can't even speak English today. Sorry, guys. Kamaru Usman is your 170-pound champion in the UFC, and he's here to stay. Now, this is a fight that has flown under the radar. This is a boxing fight that if you have DAZN, you could have watched it on DAZN. I actually did not know about this fight until in the middle of the week. A gentleman by the name of Josh Warrington, who's the former IBF featherweight champion, was taking on a guy by the name of Mauricio Lara. Now, Josh Warrington is not a knockout puncher. He's very much a point fighter, but that's not to knock on him. He's got great speed. He's got great power in his hands. He's got 7 knockouts out of 30 wins. He was undefeated. Great skill set. He's taking on a guy, a Mexican by the name of Mauricio Lara. Now, Mauricio Lara, he's a very tough guy. He's a very tough guy. He's very young. He's got a pretty good record. He's 21-2 going into the fight. He put on the upset. Mauricio Lara is very heavy-handed. Josh Warrington is one of those guys who he was out for 16 months, first of all, so he had to vacate his IBF featherweight title. This was basically a comeback fight for him to see who he would fight in the future. Mauricio Lara was having none of that. Basically, was able to weather the storm against Josh Warrington. Josh Warrington came out in the first 3 rounds and was putting on, landing some very hard power punches against Mauricio Lara. But so was Mauricio Lara. Mauricio Lara was actually doing a really good job at moving with the punches and blocking the shots too. And there were times where he was very sneakily landing this left hook just ever so gingerly in between the guard of Josh Warrington. Eventually, that added up because that dropped Josh Warrington in the 4th round. A guy 30-0 who'd never been in that position before, a former champion, mind you. When someone's put in that position and they're hurt, if you look at what happened to Anthony Joshua against Andy Ruiz Jr., it took him a little bit to kind of gain his composure. It took him a rematch to regain his composure and actually understand the weaknesses of Andy Ruiz Jr. He only had, he had 9 more rounds to go. So with Josh Warrington wanting to get into a gunfight with somebody who hurt him very bad, probably wasn't the smartest thing, but maybe it was something that he needed to wake himself up. He did begin to rally again in the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th rounds, but in the 9th round, Mauricio Lara just landed this punch that, hi buddy. Mauricio Lara just landed this punch that the sequence of left hooks that basically rendered, how do I put this? There's at least 3, 4, or 5 hooks, lead left hooks, that landed on Josh Warrington, and Mauricio Lara successfully landed. Josh Warrington just dropped, and the referee got to count 9, and Josh Warrington was just waved off. If you're an English boxing fan, I'm sure that was very hard for you to watch. But if you're a boxing fan, I mean that was it was very hard to watch for somebody who it was supposed to be their comeback fight, but a fighter from Mexico was just like, no, I'm not no comeback fight, or was just said within themselves that they're not a comeback fight. So Mauricio Lara got it done against Joshua Warrington, pulled off the upset. It was upset city this weekend. It was a phenomenal performance from all guys. So Alexa Grasso and Mauricio Lara from Mexico really made their country proud. Good on them. The co-main event for that bout on DAZN was Kiko Martinez versus Zelfa Barrett. That was a great fight by both guys. Kiko Martinez has this Johnny Tapia-like style, loves to come forward, loves to utilize hooking combinations, loves to smother you up against the ropes. Zelfa Barrett is kind of looks like Lyndon Arthur a little bit. Likes to utilize the ropes as kind of like a defensive weapon. Likes to block the punches. Likes to utilize straight shots and footwork in order to set up traps for his fighter. Zelfa Barrett, 24-1. on the back pedal of the fight for most of the fight. The judges gave it to Zelfa Barrett, but Kiko Martinez looked to be the aggressor and looked to be landing the cleaner shots, the more effective combinations. There's this unfortunate bias that if you're a boxer and you box in the UK, even if you win the fight and it gets to the judges, they're still going to score it for the Englishman. That's a really big controversy here, even here in America. Listen, there's this saying in MMA: you should never leave it in the hands of the judges. That was a phenomenal performance by both guys. Hopefully they can get a rematch. Because that was a phenomenal fight. Speaking of phenomenal performances, Lee Wood, who's actually an underdog against Reese Mood. Reese Mood is actually the champion, the Triple B of C British featherweight champion. He was defending his title against Lee Wood. Lee Wood is actually being trained by Ben Davison. Ben Davison has actually spent time with Tyson Fury and Billy Joe Saunders. Again, a good back and forth boxing fight by both guys. The veteran, who's Lee Wood, actually was a southpaw, a very tricky southpaw, was actually able to catch Reese Mood very cleanly with a left cross. I believe it was a left cross, and was counted out. That was a great fight, another great upset. Good on Lee Wood. So that's actually this past weekend of MMA and boxing. It was a phenomenal weekend of combat sports. Hopefully next time I can get another guest for you guys. This weekend is Derek Lewis against Curtis Razor Blades. This is a classic wrestler versus striker matchup. Derek Lewis is a very heavy-handed guy. When push comes to shove, when he can pull out all the stops, that great equalizer is his power. I can't even say his right hand. The great equalizer is his power. He was losing against Alexander Volkov and just pulled off the upset. Even though it was a snoozer, I mean, he beat Francis Ngannou. As of late, his only two losses are to Junior Dos Santos and Daniel Cormier, two former champions. So with Curtis Razor Blades, if he wins this fight, he's knocking on the door for a title shot. But unfortunately, there's a huge line. He's got to take a number in order to get a line to the title shot against Stipe Miocic, because right now he's slated to take on Francis Ngannou in a rematch. And then after that, the winner of that fight is taking on John Jones, because John Jones is moving up for his UFC heavyweight debut for the title. And then I would have to imagine the winner of that would have to fight Curtis Razor Blades if he wins this Saturday. I believe February 20th, this Saturday. So thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode of Total Fight Mike. I will see you guys in the sequel. Bye, everybody.